We are here today to give you a high-level overview of Bates Leads. So to start off with, you might be asking, what is Bates Leads? So Bates Leads is a leadership program aligned with best practices, grounded in equity and inclusion, and advances our commitment to educating the whole person. We're rolling this out to you now because we want you to get the most out of your Bates experience, including extracurricular life. We want you to leverage this in your spaces and personal interactions.
Bates Leads provides a helpful lens when thinking about your Bates experience, and especially your extracurricular engagement. It can also help you articulate the transferable, applicable leadership skills that you develop to life post-Bates in work or grad school, etc.
Bates Leads is largely based on the social change model. Here's a quick overview of the model. Bates Leads consists of three overarching categories of values. First, we have individual values. These values are consciousness of self and impact, congruence/alignment, and commitment.
The next section of values are group values, and these include collaboration, common purpose, and controversy.
Finally, we have a community value, and that's civic agency. Now, these values are called the C's, and each of the 7 C's within these categories interact with each other to ultimately result in the 8th C, change. As you'll note from how the model is structured, there's no hierarchy. These values interact with each other in complex ways, hence the arrows showing interaction between and among all the values. That said, there's a natural and logical progression through the C's when it comes to personal growth, with individual values forming the bedrock upon which one can grow into group values, and then finally into the community value.
It's important to note that every person is different and every group is different. Each person will have a different level of competence or skill level with each of the values, just as each group would have a different level of competence or skill level with the values, and that's okay. Our hope is that you see yourself and your group in some of these values, both in terms of where you currently are and where you'd like to work on. Let's do a brief overview of each of the C's now. First, we're going to start with consciousness of self and impact. Consciousness of self and impact means knowledge of yourself, or simply self-awareness. It is awareness of the values, emotions, attitudes, and beliefs that motivate one to take action, and the recognition that these are shaped by cultural context and other external forces. Furthermore, it is an awareness of one's own inherited and positional power and privilege, and the awareness of one's impact on individuals and the community, including each action and inaction. People with a highly developed capacity for consciousness of self and impact not only have a reasonably accurate self-concept, but are also good observers of their own behavior and state of mind at any given time. Consciousness of self and impact is a fundamental Bates Leads value because it constitutes the necessary condition for realizing all the other values in the model.
Congruence/alignment is thinking, feeling, and behaving with consistency, genuineness, authenticity, and honesty toward others. Congruent people are those whose actions are consistent with their most deeply held beliefs and convictions. Being clear about one's values, beliefs, strengths, and limitations, and who one is as an individual is essential.
Commitment implies intensity, duration, and follow-through in relation to a person, idea, or activity. It requires significant involvement and personal investment in the object of commitment and in the intended outcomes. It is the energy that drives the collective effort. Commitment is essential to accomplishing change. It is the heart, the profound passion that drives one to action. Commitment originates from within. No one can force a person to commit to something, but groups can create and support an environment that resonates with each individual's heart and passions.
We're going to move on now to the group values, the first of which is collaboration. Collaboration is a central value in the model that views leadership as a group process. It increases group effectiveness because it capitalizes on the multiple talents and perspectives of each group member, as opposed to centering leadership as only top-down and positional, using the power of that diversity to generate creative solutions and actions. Collaboration underscores Bates Leads' relational focus. Collaboration is about human relationships, about achieving common goals by sharing responsibility, authority, and accountability. It involves working reciprocally with others, working across differences to achieve a shared goal, and bringing multiple perspectives, diverse experiences, and individual creativity to bear on a pursuit. It is leadership for service.
Next is common purpose. Common purpose develops when people work with others within a shared set of aims and values. Shared aims facilitate group members' engagement and collective analysis of the issues and the task to be undertaken. Common purpose is best achieved when all members of the group build and share in the vision and participate actively in articulating the purpose and goals of the group work. Groups with a strong common purpose cultivate a sense of responsibility to the group and among the group's members.
Controversy recognizes that disagreements are inherent in almost any social interaction or group process. They bring valuable perspectives and information to the collaborative group, but eventually they must be resolved. Such resolution is accomplished through open and honest dialogue, backed by the group's commitment to understanding the sources of the disagreement and to working cooperatively toward common solutions. Conflict, controversy, and dissent are opportunities for new insight, new direction, and deeper relationships. It is important that disagreeing or dissenting from the norm is done without dehumanizing others and happens in a spirit of curiosity and learning.
Lastly is the community value, civic agency. Civic agency names the process whereby the self is responsibly connected to the environment and the community, and where groups form coalitions to address community needs. It acknowledges the interdependence of all involved in the leadership effort. It implies active engagement of the individual and the leadership group in an effort to serve the community. It implies social or civic responsibility. It is, in short, the value of caring about others as well as actively supporting people's full participation in the decisions, systems, and processes that impact their lives and communities.
The ultimate goal of developing the 7 C's is an 8th C, change. Change is the hub of Bates Leads. It is the center of the circles and the interaction of the other values. Change is inevitable. Positive change is the goal toward which the other C's are directed. Change is not easy and can be uncomfortable, but is typically required to accomplish the goals of leadership. The ultimate goal of leadership is to effect positive change while supporting the dignity and agency of everyone involved. Leadership includes the task of discerning when change is necessary and/or desirable.
So, this is a very high-level overview of what leadership qualities Bates Leads cultivates. Next, we're going to invite you to review a much more in-depth framework. In this framework, each of the C's is broken down into 3 categories: knowing, being, and doing. When describing the C's just now, we used the knowing category. Knowing is what people know. What does this C mean or involve? Being is how people are. What sensibilities, characteristics, and priorities are cultivated? And doing is what people do. What actions are called for? What does this look like in practice?
So that's Bates Leads.